And now I'd like to welcome Mr. Modhar Khan, MENA AI Business Development Manager from Schlumberger, on the topic of scaling and democratizing AI and data science in organizations.
Check. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for the intro. Again, my name is Modhar. As she mentioned, I work for Schlumberger as an advisor for our clients and teams across Middle East and North Africa. I took this job back in July, and it's exciting that I came to Oman 3 times already. Oman is a beautiful country. I fell in love with the people. Like many times I meet clients, I meet friends now. And I think it's exciting times when it comes to AI. And I just want to reflect on some numbers. I think few people presented yesterday, and I've learned a lot. They spoke about investment that is underway in the Sultanate in the next 5 to 10 years. But I would like to bring some numbers from the folks at PricewaterhouseCoopers. $320 billion is the estimated impact, or the positive impact AI will have on Middle East GDP by 2030. If you think about it, that's a huge number. And I think one of my colleagues who presented yesterday, I believe he's from PDO, he defined what is GDP and how AI could impact that. So you could connect the dots and relate. The biggest impact expected is on the public sector across Middle East, followed by energy, utilities, telecommunication, and transportation sector. Now, I want you to know that these are conservative estimates. There's a momentum case here, i.e., if the private and public sector collaborate and work together, this number could go higher. I'll bring some stats from North America, where I have worked for the last 15 years on data science and AI. And I don't want to generalize, and it's not that one model will fit all. Maybe what works in North America doesn't work here, but I think there's some lessons to learn. Gartner just made a survey last year, and 50% of the companies they've surveyed, including CIOs, C-suite, chief data officers, they made, the stats came out that 50% of them are unable to operate data science and AI projects and extract value at scale. Now, there's some common challenges faced by these companies. What I'm going to share with you today is our insights from my past experience, from our experience as a company, but also insights from research institutes that I think it could be valuable for companies in Oman and the public sector in Oman to learn from, for them to scale and invest in AI and data science and extract value from it at scale. It's funny yesterday that people were mentioning, and it's true, that AI could replace humans. But the biggest challenge for companies, private and public sector, to actually develop AI and leverage data science is actually people. 70% of companies are unable to launch, build, scale, and use AI or data science because there's not enough people. And let me be very specific here. We're not talking about people who are doing data science courses. We're not talking about people who are trying to cross-skill. We're actually talking about people with domain knowledge on the project they're working on. I'll reflect back to my own experience. I used to manage data science teams in Schlumberger across multidisciplinary data science teams, finance, HR, operation, technology, maintenance, equipment failures. And on average, it used to take us back in the States 1 year to 3 years to get someone, a data scientist, to learn about how the data is being generated by these business processes, by these equipments, to understand the business drivers, to understand the challenges. So yes, you could go hire a data scientist from the street, but she or he will take about 1 year to 3 years on average, not only our numbers, but also the numbers from other companies, to understand the process. So people remain the biggest challenge for companies to leverage AI and data science to get some ROI on their data warehouse. The second biggest challenge is data itself. I think Mr. Hassan from ODP yesterday, he was sharing his experience here in Oman, and it's the same in the US and across the world. Data have been stored for many years in different formats. They're not clean. If you talk to any professional data scientist, ML practitioner, they'll tell you that I spend 60 to 80% of my time wrangling data, not building machine learning models, not automating. The biggest effort for data scientists to use data, or data engineer, or analyst, or any people in that domain, is data itself, to understand the data, to clean the data, and structure the data. Hence, many companies are moving into, or institutes are moving into what we call digital transformation, i.e. they're investing in trying to clean their data, get it at scale. But that doesn't prevent companies, so just busting a myth here, that doesn't prevent organizations from trying to start working with the data they have, extract some value out of it. The third challenge, which I think exists here as well in Middle East, I've been traveling, I believe, to 8 to 9 countries by now, and I think it's a similar challenge. When you work in the public sector or in the public domain, there's quite a bit of concern on data privacy and security. What I mean by that, you could be dealing with citizens' data or consumers' data, or you could be dealing with some data of national interest. In the oil and gas domain, in some of the countries in the Middle East, oil and gas data is considered of national interest, i.e. they don't want it to leave the country, they don't want it to be stored on cloud, they want it to remain in country. And that's fairly reasonable. I mean, these policies exist to protect the national interest of the countries across the Middle East, as well as in the US. I used to work on some government projects, and we couldn't leverage cloud technologies because of the data security and privacy challenges presented. Taking it a step further, the people working on the data. Some organizations have great policies and procedures. For you to get access to certain data within your own organization might be a challenge. You have to go through a process, right, of being granted that data access. So it complicates projects, it complicates working on data science projects, it complicates or adds complication to actually taking data from multiple sources to try to get to a solution or automate a process or do anything in that space. Another important aspect that a lot of people don't consider is just super exciting to start working on AI, the buzzword, and all of these things, is to understand the implications. Not all projects are created equal, but for most projects, if you want to scale them and have a long-term impact for your organization, you need to have professional concentration of the infrastructure where you're going to deploy your model, your workflow, your application, etc. Many of these projects start in pilot phase, probably on a laptop. You could see some data scientists working on a Python script, R script, but they don't think about scaling, right? There is technical debt associated with that code. I don't want to go technical here, but as you build your project, and if that project going to see light and is going to be used by organizations over years, you need to think about sustainability, right? Sustaining your application, your code, your infrastructure, and all of these things. And that comes at a cost. And many times what we see is that while management will buy into a value of a certain project, once you talk about scaling and you present the cost of scaling, they get shocked and they kill the project, i.e., if I want to deploy my project to be consumed by X amount of users, I would need that size of infrastructure, and that would translate to some investment that needs to be made. It gets killed or shot on the spot because they were not expecting that. They're expecting just free project data, bring a data scientist, mingle them with some data, produce something, and I'm going to get value. Doesn't work this way. And many professionals understand that quite well, but I thought, it's a good lesson to share. So thinking strategically, I'm going to do a project early on, in the ideation phase. How am I going to scale it? Time to value. There's a bit of myth around this field that all projects will be successful, it's all nice and dandy. As a matter of fact, 80 to 90% of the projects fail, and they don't see light or they don't bring value. It's a discovery, right? It's innovation. Not all innovative ideas need to be successful. But the idea is organization and companies shouldn't invest so much money and time building something that may not work or may not bring value. So this is the idea of agile development: fail fast, fail quick, try 10 ideas, invest and scale in some of them that actually work, instead of spending so much time, so much money. And for some of my friends who are in the C-suite, it's emotional, right? They're emotionally vested in some projects, right? It's my baby. I've been investing in it for a year or two, and then it fails, and it's fine. We just need to be cognizant of the fact that not all projects will succeed. How to manage that is what we call time to value and agility, right? Trying to test, fail, and invest in success. Lastly, scalability. I've touched on that in a few of the last, few challenges. Scale, scale, scale. What someone does on her or his laptop doesn't have to work, will not scale without proper architecture, proper, consideration early on of how this will scale. Is it consumer-facing product? Is it an internal? Is it a business system related? How's it going to integrate across business systems? How I'm going to build my data pipeline. Data scientists, for most part, their job is not to think about scaling. Their job is to actually figure out a way to solve for your problem, to use that data to give you an outcome. So you need a team, and I believe some of the people who presented here yesterday touched on this briefly. Data science, AI projects are collaborative projects. They cannot be done in an isolated fashion where you give data to someone, she or he's sitting in a room. There needs to be a business ownership. There needs to be collaboration across, functions. It needs to be open to the organization to challenge and to talk about and discuss and think about the end state. Now, there are more challenges in this space with regards to scaling. I thought to share some common ones that we faced as a company and what we hear from our network that we engage with. Important things to consider. I think if I reflect back on my personal failures and my team failure in the past, I could share some valuable lessons, not only sharing successes, but also failures. I think the most important part for any AI, data science, initiative, project, or whatever you want to call it, is to have leadership commitment, vision, and support. Find that ally, right? Whether you're in a public institute, private institute, find allies in your organization. Try to get some executive sponsorship. Have them, educate them. Don't go, for those of you who are in the space, they love to throw jargons. I'm a victim of this as well. Try to simplify, engage people, level with them, simplify it, and have them be your allies and sponsor you. Business context, walk your story right to left, not left to right, or in Arabic I think is the other way around, but it's think about the end state, think about the end value. Are you trying to improve a business process? Are you trying to reduce costs? Are you trying to increase market share? Whatever your objective function in business that you're dealing with, think business context. That will assure your value, the value of your project that you're working on. internal stakeholders. If you're trying to build a data science team, work with human resources, HR, or the people function. If you are in a business side or a technology side, collaborate with IT. Bring them on board if you're not part of IT. Again, emphasizing the fact that be agile, move fast, move quick, test an idea. If you see that it's not going anywhere, be open and honest about it, so at least you have more people to challenge you back or give you ideas on how to make it work, and move on. Don't be emotionally vested in some ideas that may not work. Adoption. This is an important part, right? Especially within companies or private or public institutes. You can build the best product, the best analytics, dashboard, whatever you want to call it, and you can define your target audience. These are the people who's going to use it. You monitor it, and you see that 1% or 5% of the people of your target audience are using it. This is depressing for some people who invest so much time and effort in that. So think about adoption. There's no shame in internal marketing. Market, have people on board, explain to them why your project, product, or idea, or solution will benefit them. If it's a back-end application, no one will know about it, but at least you can monitor the value of it. And when you track all of these metrics, you're actually helping your line to invest in your next great idea or your next great product. Recognizing people. Share the success. If you have any success, recognize the people and teams working on it. Many people in this field, including myself, could be introverts, but recognizing them will motivate them and will have them tackle the next challenge. And build internal momentum. Market all your successes again. There's a lot of bad, negative media about AI and data science, how it's going to take away people's job, how AI and how people are using data to have negative impact or negative implication on privacy. But there's also a positive side of using AI in data science. I think 90% of the discussions within the company or with clients that I have is about the negative side. AI is bad because. So if you're working on any project initiative, do market it internally, show the positive side, right, of the technology. I'll share our own journey as a company, and I've been tracking this since 2019. So I'm sure there is much more, but since 2019, we have more than 500 successful projects. We're not counting the failures, but the ones that made it out there internally or externally. I think one of the biggest successes we've had is in creating what we call a citizen data science program. We spoke about the challenge related to talent. There's not enough data scientists to hire from, experienced data scientists in certain domains. We've worked on internal initiatives to cross-train people from functions, from technology centers, from operation. We put them through a program to convert them to what we call citizen data scientists. And many of them are producing some amazing stuff, and some of it is actually in Oman, and I'm going to show a use case from Oman that just got a press release from Oman Investment Authority, and I'm super proud that the team in Oman has built it, and they are citizen data scientists. Now, one of the things that our friends, we signed an MOU with ODP, and we're sharing a lot of these internal lessons as well. So we're offering the AI platform in Oman, which helps accelerate projects. It reduces the barrier for entry, and it accelerates citizen data science programs. We're also working with public institutes here in Oman and private institutes in what we call the AI Academy. We've been here in the country, in the Sultanate, for decades. We're part of the ecosystem. So we do believe that accelerating AI and data science use will require collaboration with educational institutes, and you'll hear more about what we're doing in coming months. So the platform is a joint venture or partnership that we had with a great platform called DataIQ. And what we love about it, or why our team started using it, and I'm sharing it here, is the fact that you can collaborate at scale. Everyone can contribute to a project, as I've mentioned. This is the infinity loop in what we call ML ops, model ops. And this is where, various touch points across the process might not happen. And the platform allows us to ensure that everyone is involved and everyone is part of it. It's designed for citizen and professional ones. So you could see, and I'll share with you the project in Oman that we've done. But the beauty about it, it's visual. You're not looking at a Python code or R code. You're actually looking at a process end-to-end where data comes in, what's the final output, whether it's ingesting data back to a business system or doing some viz or deploying a machine learning model. And 90% of the tasks that usually you do in using scikit-learn or matplot or all of these great libraries, they're available in clicks. So people who are not coders, data scientists, they can do most of these tasks with some minor training. So time to value is faster here. Again, just quickly, you can integrate with clicks to massive data, to numerous data sources on the fly. Data prep, which is, again, 70% of what data scientists do, is data prep, feature engineering, data preparation. For most part, you have out-of-the-box what we call recipes that you can do that quickly, so it reduces the burden as well on data scientists, not only citizen ones. And you can do a lot of tasks such as AutoML, so i.e. testing dozens of machine learning models on the fly, doing hyperparameter tuning, and so on and so forth. Or you can import your own code. If you're like me, who loves to build certain classifiers, you can also import it. Machine learning model explainability. This is a touchy, sensitive topic, right? Many times, I was in New York, I was working with a private equity firm, and the management there, all they wanted is linear regression because it was easy to explain, right? R square, all of these things. When you start using sophisticated or advanced or other machine learning methods, it becomes washy to explain it to non-technical people. So also the platform helps communicate the results of your workflow, of your model, in a human way versus a code way. And I think, deployment and so many other features, I just thought it was cool to share some of that. This is what we're doing actually in UAE and Iraq and Algeria. We're deploying AI Academy with few universities and public and private clients in oil and gas space. So the beauty about it is we're getting people to cross-train quickly, getting them through a few weeks course, and the results were phenomenal. I mean, they're producing projects locally in the Middle East, and we're hoping to do that in Oman as well in coming months. This is what I was talking about, the project in Oman. I believe if you've seen the press release, or if you want, you can Google the press release from Oman Investment Authority. It's regarding geothermal in the Sultanate. And while the press release was about prospecting geothermal energy in Oman, I think there was a one-liner that's of interest, why I'm bringing this up, is the team leveraged artificial intelligence to do X, Y, and Z. And the fact of the matter is that project or prospecting would have taken months for them to go through thousands and thousands of files, right, that the clients had. Instead of that, it took less than 2 weeks. Building a fully automated pipeline. No, fancy stuff here, but a bit of automation of data ingestion at scale, going through super technical files, subsurface data, and mining thousands of channels, trying to extract certain insights. And I'm super proud of the team in Oman who's done this and worked on that interesting project. Again, they're citizen data scientists. We supported them with one data scientist just to look at their workflow at the end, but they developed it locally here in Oman. Another thing we're doing is on H2S and CO2 monitoring. Again, we've leveraged the platform here to build some proof of concepts on sustainability projects that hopefully will see light. And finally, I want to close with some insights. Take this with a grain of salt, right? This is from LinkedIn. Again, not our data, but this is LinkedIn data. And I pulled this on the way to Oman. So when I was flying in, I had access to the LinkedIn API, and I was just trying to take a look at the talent in the Sultanate. And maybe it's not fair. Maybe it's not covering everyone who has knowledge in data science. But qualitatively, you can look at, we've mined all these jobs that we typically exist in this space and more. Data scientists, data analysts, AI engineers, MLs, managers. I could see that on LinkedIn, 59 people exist in Oman. So there is an opportunity to improve on that. And the reason I say that, if you compare it to other companies in the region, other countries in the region, they're also having the same issues, but they're trying to invest. So I think this is a great insight. Some of the companies are employing this talent. Probably I'm going to mention it wrong. ISBAR. ISBAR is one of the companies. PDO, I believe you've seen some great examples and projects from them. Bank of Muscat and Majid al-Fatim. So again, there's huge room for investing in this space. People. I can't emphasize this more. There's no AI in data science without people. Doesn't have to be the title, but at least this gives you an indication. Hiring demand in Sultanate Oman is high. Now, if it was a blue-collar job, I wouldn't trust LinkedIn data much. But in white-collar job and in tech job, Middle East, I would look at this data. Some of the universities producing this talent, Sultan Qaboos University. I think it's one of the public institutes here. And some of the key skills, and you'll have the slides with the team, and you can take a look at it. That's it from my side. I hope you found value in this session, and we can take questions now or later on the Q&A session. Thank you again.
It's just a matter of if you could please elaborate a bit in the part where you talked about the civil data scientists. Is it a sort of a program that you have data scientists and you prepare them for a particular industry, or how is it working?
Right. So I believe you, just to make sure that I understand the question correctly, you wanted me to elaborate on the citizen data scientist program.
Yes, please.
And if it's relevant to other industries. Did I?
I mean, how did you run it? Is it a program where you have data science graduates or specialists and then you prepare them for a particular industry?
Understood. So you want, okay, so let me shed a bit of details. Let me stand proudly there. So to be fair, we did not come up with this idea. I mean, I just want to be blunt and honest with you. One of the first companies who started this idea on the citizen data science program was actually GE, right, and Unilever. So we did it about the same time, right? So, and there are many other companies that are doing it across the world. The idea was to design a curriculum, a program that will help them to do that, but also give them the technology. Anyone here is familiar with Microsoft Power Platform, Power Apps? Power Apps? Anyone here? Okay. Just a few people, which is good, great. I mean, it's, so Power App is for you to be able to shift people who are not, say, for example, software developer into building applications, you need to also enable them not only with training and education, but also with technology that will allow them to do that. Now, they're not going to build fancy, like super sophisticated fancy, and you don't want them to do that, right? You want them to tackle what we call in a Pareto approach, the 80-20, right? So 80% of your problem could be fixed, and they don't need to be super sophisticated or complex. So you give them the technology, you give them the training, and you allow them to innovate and develop their own stuff. So similar to Power Apps or software development, you're talking about data science. So we gave them training. We started with a training program of about 2-3 weeks. That failed because COVID came, so we couldn't put them in training, so we switched to an online training program. So on-demand online training program, and we've designed it to be for about 10 hours max. I mean, effective screen time is 10 hours. And then we gave them a capstone project, right? So for them to come up with an idea and to work with it. And then we built a network of mentors and coaches, if you wish, right? So if they had a question or if they wanted, they just put it on the board and someone would pick it up and help them, accelerate. We did that because you do have other means to do that. So if you go on the web, there is something called Stack Overflow. Anyone has used Stack? Okay, here we go. So the beauty about the space or the digital space, software, data science, is the collaborative nature, right? So 90% of your question has been solved by someone across, in this planet. So if you go on Stack Overflow, you put a question, you'll find how many people jumping on. But in a business environment or a public institute, you might not be able to share some confidential, if you wish, data. So we allow them to ask questions within our own Stack Overflow space, if you wish. So that's one or two. The third thing is what I've showed. We've invested in a platform to allow them to automate all of these things, right? To guide them through a proper step to build data science projects. I hope that makes sense.
My question is again to Mr. Modhar. Okay, so you have mentioned about the security of the data. It's one of the biggest challenge we are facing here. And in one of your slides, I have seen you are mentioning the OSDU. So from your experience here in the GCC, so do you see that we are easing or trying from the regulatory point of view that is to adapt these regulations? So because I think now most of the industry moving to the OSDU and trying to adapt to OSDU. So how we can link between these two?
Great, phenomenal question. So OSDU is, if you wish, the data platform for energy or upstream and subsurface data, and it helps. And I'm just, sharing what it is with the people in the room, just to ensure that when I answer, I'm inclusive and that everyone understands. So similar to SAP. So if you want to have a standardized HR data, you'd go to Workday or SAP and have that fact logic. In oil and gas, we have something called OSDU, which is to store subsurface data and more. Now to answer, so I'm not a cybersecurity expert, so just to put that out there. However, I think in Oman specifically, I think there are multiple parties to the story. So first party is obviously we need to understand how the regulation is evolving, right? It's an evolving news story. I think it's heading in a positive direction from what I've been hearing. There is genuine interest, from both the public sector and the government to invest in that, and we've seen many announcements over the last few months on how they're moving in that direction. I just think there needs to be the guardrails in place, right? In the US, if you've heard, a few weeks ago, there was a cyber incident that shut down, a few months ago, not a few weeks ago, a refinery, right? Not saying it's related to cloud. But they're in Saudi as well, they get hit. We have a SOC center in Houston where we monitor cyber attacks. And just to give you an idea about our humble small company, compared to governments, we get 15,000 attacks every day, but we have cybersecurity, professional cybersecurity. So I think there's also needs to be an investment in that space as well. But also I think our partnership with Oman Data Park, for example, is a key enabler. So we're also trying to bring the infrastructure here to Oman, right? So with Oman Data Park, we've signed a great agreement that instead of hosting our technology or OSDU outside of Oman, we're trying to invest in bringing Azure Stack in Oman with Oman Data Park. And I think that will also reduce the burden on companies in Oman adopting OSDU and many others. I hope that answers the question probably a bit.
Is that solution going to align with the application requirements from the oil and gas or the energy industry point of view?
I believe so. I believe first, once we deploy it on the infrastructure here, we need to go on a few pilots with companies. And I think Zainab, she's the business manager here for the digital transformation from SLB side. I think she shared with me that there are a few clients who are interested in piloting that once we deploy it with Oman Data Park. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for your presentation.